Welcome to the Dominate Ductless podcast, where we tell the stories of entrepreneurs who are building their businesses that are focused around ductless heat pumps. I'm Mike Cappuccio, the owner of Dominate Ductless, and I am excited today to have a friend of mine and business owner, Benji Queen. And Benji owns Variable Comfort Solutions in Huntington, West Virginia. First and foremost, Benji, thanks for joining me this morning on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
I totally enjoy talking to you all the time. And Benji, tell the audience a little bit about yourself first. Just kind of introduce yourself here, and tell us a little bit about how you got into Variable Comfort Solutions and what's your HVAC journey been like since you got into this trade?
So my story's a little bit unique. I haven't always been in HVAC. I've been a business owner since I was 21. Used to be in a restaurant business. Then decided whenever I was 30 to go back to college. Finished my accounting degree, actually. That's what my education is in. When I was 32, I was married, already had a baby, kind of crazy times. Then I got into the hands-on work in the appliance repair business. Kind of accidentally fell into the HVAC industry. So come to find out, I just kind of have a natural knack to work with my hands. It just kind of clicks with me. And then the business side, I've been in it so long. So then I decided to open a HVAC company, hired what I didn't know. And that fortunately has worked out really well for me.
Okay.
We've been in business since 2019, and it's been off to the races ever since.
So you started this business just yourself?
Me and one other guy. I knew the technical side of HVAC. I did not know the install side of HVAC. So I hired a guy that had been installing equipment for many, many years to start off with. That was a prereq to opening the doors. And for a long time, it was just me and him, and running service and installs, whatever we had to do to make it happen.
You remember day one?
Yeah. So
I love to ask this question because here you are. It sounds to me like you were probably working for somebody.
Was not. No. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 21. So coincidentally, I've been a business owner now a little over half my life.
Okay, so you got into the appliance repair business when you started this business?
No. So I came out. I was in the restaurant world. I owned restaurants. I've owned several restaurants back in my younger years. Hated every single last minute of it. But I was in the restaurant industry for 13 years, owned multiple stores. And then whenever I went back to college, the plan was I was going to go to college. I was going to finish my accounting degree. I was going to go work for the common man and live the stress-free life was my goal. That was what I was thinking. Then once you've been an entrepreneur for at least a certain amount of time, the thought of going to work for somebody else it will literally make you.
No one's going to tell me what to do. No one's going to tell me.
Yeah, it's just entrepreneurs just not built for that, in my opinion.
No.
So I franchised an appliance repair company is what I've done. Coming out of college, I was 32, and I had to hit the road and figure it out on my own because I couldn't find the experienced technicians, and I actually just learned it. I was self-taught completely. But then I quickly found out if you can take a refrigerator, and we worked on a lot of really high-end refrigerators that you're dealing with refrigeration at that point. Refrigeration, airflow, all that stuff that correlates over to the HVAC industry, it's the same. So once you learn how to disassemble one of those down to the molecular level, and you can put it all back together and you understand how that works, you can take that, you can apply that to the HVAC industry. Not that you know everything.
If you know refrigeration, you can do AC. You know AC, you can't do refrigeration.
Yeah, exactly. Refrigerations, it doesn't matter whether you're dealing with a ductless, you're dealing with a unitary piece of equipment, you're dealing with a refrigerator or a bar cooler. Refrigeration is refrigeration. So then you just add some more stuff and learn it.
Yeah. So you had this franchise. That's kind of how you entered a little bit of the HVAC world. Now, what happens?
So
still trying to figure this out.
Well, what happened was I have a good friend that I've been dear friends with for a long, long time. He's really all he's ever done was HVAC.
Okay.
And got talking to him one day, and we were talking about our work and stuff. And that's when the kind of the light bulb went off that, hey, I understand. Not only am I hearing what he's saying, I understand what he's talking about and understand the theory behind it. And I thought, maybe I know HVAC. So I started looking into, researching a little bit. And I thought, man, I know the technical side of HVAC. I don't know it all, but I understand it.
I can learn it.
I can learn it. Yeah. I mean, it's so far I haven't set out to do anything that I haven't been capable of learning. Thank goodness. So in my past, all the businesses that I've been involved, well, most of the businesses I've been involved with in the past, which has been several, it's always been tied to some type of franchise or the business model has already been made. It's kind of been set up to a degree anyway.
Okay.
So then I thought, I'm going to start an HVAC company, use the years of experience in business that I've had, and then I'm going to start this. So on January 1st of 2019, I started all the business planning stuff.
Okay.
So everything from picking the name to the logos to the business plan to the budgets to the marketing, everything that goes into a successful company.
You realize this is not how HVAC companies usually start. But anyway,
right. Yeah.
I'm loving this because I'm going through this right now with a guy I coach, but continue. Yeah. I'm sorry.
This is not, I don't operate, hey, let's slap a magnet on the side of a truck and call it a company. That's
usually how it starts.
Almost always. Huh? Almost exclusively. That's how it starts.
I'm going to say 95%.
Oh, yeah. With
aggravated technician starts a business today.
Right.
Am I saying that?
Yeah. And no money. So we started that process, and then we got everything done around March of 2019 with the business planning stuff. And then the only prereq that I had left to do was find that guy that knew installs. I didn't need to know service. I just needed to know installs. And I needed him to be able to teach me that because I'm a big proponent of knowing every aspect of your business. So we just kind of fell in place, found the guy, and April 1st, 2019, we opened the doors and told the world we were ready to start fixing and replacing stuff.
Great. Okay. So 2019, relatively new company.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Were you shocked at that point?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy with if you start in an HVAC company or you start any company, really. Because
I remember the day I started my company. I walked out of the company. I had a little baby boy who was literally a week old.
Really?
Really? I'm not kidding you.
Well,
talk about risk.
Hey, I can relate to that because whenever I went back, rewinding here a minute, whenever I went back to college to finish my degree, I was me and my wife, and then we had a 3-month-old son, our oldest one. And so I was in college for 2 years, and I still owned a restaurant at that time. So I was working 70 to 90 hours a week. So that was the first 2 years of his life. I missed that. And then I came out of that and franchised the appliance repair company, and I was working 70 to 90 hours a week for the next 2 years.
Oh my God.
So to this day, I can see, I can see pictures of my oldest son whenever he was 1 to 4, and it turns in my stomach because I missed the first 4 years of his life. I was there, but I wasn't.
Yeah, and it's hard. Everyone thinks this business is very easy to get into and start and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
They really think that, you know what I mean? Until they really get into it and they're like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? Now you don't, you don't own the business. The business owns you at that point. I think I'm about ready to say, and I'm pretty accurate at saying that. So now 2019 comes, COVID hits. You're sitting there probably going, okay, what am I going to do? And from what I hear from all these contractors around the country is everyone got busy at that point.
COVID-19 rocked the HVAC industry's world. And
really did.
in more than one way. So at the start of it, when everything got started shutting down, and then the government was handing out money like it was candy and all that. I mean, you didn't talk to an HVAC contractor, an HVAC distributor. You didn't talk to anybody that didn't have the same thing to say, and it was, we're so busy we can't keep up with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
The side of it was then everybody ran out of equipment because there was no workers in the factories building stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a double-edged sword.
Yeah. It really was.
Yeah,
Really
21
was. So let me ask you this question. You hear about this Dominate Ductless training. Where did you hear about that from? How did you find out about this? How did this all come about? Because I always like to ask guys this, because I've met guys in training, and or where did we first meet, or when did you first hear about myself?
So how I heard about you is we were already installing mini splits and doing a decent amount of volume on mini splits at that time, but I was switching brands and I wanted to go to Mitsubishi because, I mean, as all of us in the industry know, Mitsubishi's the best. And I wanted to be attached to that. I wanted my company to be attached to Mitsubishi. So I switched over to Mitsubishi, and our local distributor is Ferguson Enterprises up the road from us. So when we started that, my territory manager, he's the one who introduced me to the Dominate Ductless, and he called me and he said, "Hey, we got this class. I really think that you would benefit from it because of the way that you operate your business. You kind of see the value in the sales side of things, of knowing the knowledge of sales processes and all that. Really like you to go. And by the way, it's co-opt, so you don't have to pay for all of it." So I was like, "That's fine. I'll do it, if nothing else, for fun." So that is how I got contacted.
Okay.
Or got pulled into Dominate Ductless, and now I've been twice.
Okay, but twice. Okay. So let me ask you this question. When was the first time you went?
So the first time, if I'm not mistaken, the first time I was in your class was fall of 23, I think's when it was.
Okay.
And I've been a Mitsubishi dealer since, I think, spring of 23.
Okay. So what made you come back again?
Well, that's just a personal thing for me. So
Okay.
I'm one of those guys that, typically speaking, the way I learn, I have to do it with these hands, or I have to do it with this brain multiple times. So typically 2 to 3 times I have to hear the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it starts sticking. And there's a lot. I mean, obviously, as you know, there's a ton to that class. A lot of stuff is being thrown at you at one time.
Yeah.
I mean, that class could easily be a week-long class.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't even get through half the material that I'm trying to teach in the course of a day sometimes when we got to start talking about things. But speaking of that, is like, what if you were to kind of look at what we went through in those 2 days or 3 days or one day or whatever that, like, what, there are a couple of high level topics that you really said to yourself, wow, this is good, and I need to do this in my company. What was the eye opening moment, or what was something that just popped in there that you said, whoa, wait a minute, take a break here, take a break, Benji, I need to go do this?
So now I may not be your typical answer on this because I'm not,
Any
I'm not,
answer's good.
yeah, I'm not an HVAC tech that came into this. I was a business, accounting major,
Counting major.
HVAC, you know what I mean? So numbers is kind of my thing, and I'm familiar with numbers, and I'm running numbers. The first thing, and you asked us that, and you asked this in classes too. Hey, what was your favorite part? What stood out? And surely for your benefit to know how to progress in your own class as well. But the way that you have broke out your numbers whenever you were running your company, how you went from losing $6 per man hour to making well above that per man hour. That was a huge light bulb to me, even though I knew how to run numbers and I understand P&Ls and all that.
Yeah.
just how you had went about doing it. And then on top of it, then once you go to that class, then you get those spreadsheets that you can punch in, find out the true numbers of your labor costs per hour and all that. So that was one big thing. And still to this day, right now, if you were in my office, you could see that your flash drive is in my computer as we speak. So I refer back to that sometimes. I don't use, but I refer to it.
I would rerun when I hired a new employee. First thing I would do is take my burden labor rate spreadsheet, plug in what I pay him, all the bennies and all the perks that are going to come with him, and that went into our software to say this is what his loaded rate is and what he's going to cost me on that job per man hour per day.
Yeah,
and that's how I would get. You'd have an A technician and or a C or a D technician, and that's how it drove the number.
Right.
And then the markup is what paid for the overhead. You know what I mean? And all of that. And I'm still amazed today when I go and teach a class that when I talk about margin and markup, that guys don't understand the difference of it sometimes.
Well, and then here's the thing too, and I think that this is where when you're trying. Of course, I don't try to compete with the low price chucks and the trucks kind of thing. I mean, that's not my customer. If that's what they want, that's fine. I'm here to make money. I'm not here for fun. I think for the most part, especially your smaller companies, and we're a small company. I'm not trying to act like we're something we're not, but we're a small company. But I think that most HVAC contractors out there, the owners, the people that are responsible for setting those prices and that kind of thing, I genuinely believe that the great majority of them, I would say, and I would say it'd probably be higher than 70% of them, don't have a clue what their true cost is. We already know for a fact they don't understand margin. So, and me and you understand, and a lot of the contractors that are going to be successful, we understand you make your money when you sell that job because it's got to be priced right to start with.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you. Let's be honest. How does an HVAC company start? Not typically the way that you're talking about.
No.
It usually starts with what? A guy who was a technician, who was good with his hands, not good with business, and he gets aggravated someday, and he starts his own business. And I call it the low. It's a very low barrier to entry for a guy to start a business.
Sure.
It doesn't really cost a lot of money to start a small HVAC company out of your house.
No.
And usually the pricing metrics that they're going to use comes from the old company they worked for. They either had a price book that they saw and they say, well, if I can do it for less than them, I can get all that work.
Yeah.
So
and the old company typically is, well, we take what we got in it and we just double it.
Yeah. That's I can't tell you. It was 2 times boxes for years. I think some of them gotten smarter and gone to 3, but I don't even know if 3 will pay that price anymore. But as you start to understand now, when you become a 2, 3, 4 person company, and I'm the owner and I do all the work, and what I can do in one day in 8 hours, my crews can't do that in 8 hours now because they don't work like me. And they're never going to work like you. I tell it the 50, the 60-40 rule. If you can get 60% out of those guys of what you did for what you did in one day, you did good that day. You know what I mean? And never mind the screw ups and everything else that's going to happen with that. And now that starts to cost you money. And then the other point that they don't get is that they've jumped out of the truck now and they've sat at the desk and they're answering the phone and doing all this other stuff. And now they just become a huge amount of overhead where they could produce maybe $250,000 to $400,000 a year as one person, maybe. And now that revenue's gone. And that's usually where the ship just starts taking on water. And in 2 years, it's out of business. It can't, because it was never pricing things properly. It didn't understand what it needed to do to get where it needed to get. You're a different story, which is having someone who really understands business to get into business is a lot better. A lot better.
Well, I've always, the way I think about it, you got the old school technicians that look at somebody like me whenever I was first starting, they're thinking, oh, that guy's never going to make it. He don't know how to do HVAC or whatever. But I still to this day, and I felt then that I was at a big advantage because I understood the business. And in my personal opinion, and this because we know that there's a lot to know about HVAC, but if you have the mind to learn and understand mechanical things, mechanicals can be taught, airflow can be taught, everything else can be taught. Businesses can be taught to a degree, but business is intuition a lot.
Yes.
And it takes experience.
Yeah.
It takes experience. So I had years and years and years of business experience coming into the HVAC industry, and I feel like that has been a big advantage for me and my company.
Oh yeah,
to be in that position.
Running a restaurant. How long did you run the restaurant for?
Too long, man. I hated that place.
Yeah, but that's a business, and that's a tough business with margin and competition and everything else and everything that goes along with that. Understanding the business side of that and people, because you got to remember, we got business side of HVAC, we got the people side of it from technicians to the customer. Then we got the fix it side of it too. You know what I mean? I agree with you on that. Is business is a lot harder to learn. Why do the HVAC businesses that these technicians are super good? They're great technicians. Why did they go out of business?
Yeah.
Didn't understand the business side of it.
Well, like you was talking about a minute ago, you have that one guy that's doing his own thing because it's low barrier entry. He gets some tools. He sells a job. He's going to take half the money up front or enough money to cover all the cost. He's going to go pay for it, and then he'll collect his money when he's done. And whenever he starts hiring people, they don't understand what overhead is to start with, and they don't understand what all is calculated in that. Then what they do is they still keep their pricing model the same because they look at it, well, I done an $8,000 job or a $10,000 job, and at the end of it, I made a ton of money and it was just me, for a day. But then they don't understand that whenever they're paying somebody else to go out there, that starts eating into that money that they made. They don't even think about that.
And never mind going to pay them to go back and do it again.
Yeah, and it's never for them. The small guys, they're never making the right margins anyway. So because they're working by themselves, and if they're making 400 or 500, even $1,000 a day, they're making good money for themselves. They're making $5,000 a week. But then you start getting overhead, and $5,000 a week is not enough to do anything with anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I guess if I asked you this, what other topics might have hit you in that training that were really the costs? Really, what else was there? Anything else that jumped out at you?
So the way that you marketed your old company, and then how you brought that into Dominate Ductless, and how you teach that, that was a big one for me. With that said, I hate marketing. I am not a marketing guy. I hate it with a fervent passion.
What do I tell you? Hire specialists.
Yeah.
Hire people that know how to do it. We're not good at that. What do we know about that?
No, you got to learn real quick if you're going to hire marketing stuff, because as you well know, you can spend some money there real quick. You cannot be scared to fire somebody in your marketing team in a second, because they're not all equal.
No, they're not.
And, I had another point. It was bigger to me than the marketing stuff. Oh. So here was something that was really helpful to me, and I've implemented into my company.
Well, I want to hear this.
I have had more turnover than I like. You're going to have turnover. You're going to have helpers come and go. It happens. I mean, people are going to come. People are going to go.
The industry.
It's just, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, that happens. But I tell you what I've done and integrated into my company is your hiring process, specifically the 7 principles that you looked at whenever you were hiring people and opening those.
I don't want technical guys.
Right.
I don't want technical guys. I can, like you said it earlier, Benji, we can teach that. That can be taught.
Yeah. So that has actually made a difference, because I've got one guy popped in my mind just now that sat across from my desk and interviewed with me, and I went through those questions. I took your training, implemented my own questionnaire that's standardized for my interviews, my in-person interviews, not the first phone call. but my standardized interview process, questions that I want answered that kind of meet our code of conduct or values, if you will.
Yeah.
And if they answer, they'll tell, if you ask them the right open-ended questions, they'll tell you what you want to know.
You just be quiet. Just ask what you're really looking for and understand. Because I'll tell you one thing. I was the world's worst hirer. I'll hire anyone that I like. If I like you, I'm going to hire you.
I've done the same thing.
And I'm like, my wife says it to me all the time. You are your own worst enemy because you're the nicest guy in the world, and you think everybody's nice to you, and they're really not sometimes. But when you start to learn that, I got away from hiring, and I had someone who did it for me because I really wanted them to come to meet and say, "Hey, we learned this from this person in this interview." So that's really good. I'm glad to hear that. So I guess, Benji, in closing, what would you recommend for contractors around the country that really need to understand more? I guess is, as you as a business person, let me rephrase this. As you as a business person, what would you recommend to other contractors around the United States?
Are you asking recommended to what to implement or what direction to
implement it? What would you do if you had to recommend to other contractors around the country? I guess because you're a big Mitsubishi guy. Let's rephrase this. In closing, what would you tell contractors around the country that aren't doing heat pump work now? What would you recommend to them?
Well, I would recommend to them if they like making money and they're there for the money. Obviously there's a service that we're providing to our customers, but I mean, if you want to grow the company, why would you not want to add Mitsubishi to the lineup? I mean, you can change let's say that they are doing all unitary equipment. Well, you're going to add jobs to those. They have this hot room in a house. Why not say, I don't understand why they're not saying, okay, well, you have this back wing, this big grand room that you all hang out in all the time. It doesn't have good airflow. I can change that with a mini split. It's going to add, I mean, depending on where you're at in the country, depending on how big the unit is, it could add $8, $10, $12,000 to their ticket. and it's a day job. So, I mean,
it's a nice thing if you're doing a replacement too, and you're adding that to it, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean and I tell you, even more than that, most of our Mitsubishi business does not come from add-ons like that.
No.
When you start building that reputation, I think it's
a whole nother part of a business, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a kind of a business in its own. And you start getting calls, if you start getting good at it, you start getting calls from people from all over the place. Hey, we want a mini split. We want a mini split. And you price them, and it's kind of shocking how many you will sell. And I'm in a small market, Mike. I mean, I'm in a town of 49,000 people.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. I'm telling you. I mean, it can be implemented into a business. I always tell people, if you're not doing it, you better start doing it, because you're leaving so much money on the table. It's not even funny.
No, we are not dependent. Our company is not dependent on Mitsubishi or a mini split system by itself. But I mean, it's absolutely worth doing.
Is it your highest profitable product that you sell?
No, I wouldn't say
one of.
It's one of. So it's got margins to it, just like you're going to have with your higher efficiency modulating equipment. Yeah. So I mean, it is a high profit margin if you have the guys that can get it done quick.
Yeah. You sell high C, you make more money. I always tell guys, why do you want to sell the lowest equipment when you can sell the highest C or make more markup on it? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, it's that old school mentality. Oh, well, that's
exactly. Yeah. I guess we tell them, if you know what, if you got guys in your area that aren't doing it, well, continue not doing it, because I'll be the guy that'll make all the money. So
that's right.
So Benji, let me thank you for coming on the Dominate Ductless podcast this morning. I've had a great time chatting with you. Again, this is where we tell the stories of entrepreneurs who are building their businesses that are focused on ductless heat pumps. I want you to have a great day, have a great weekend, go enjoy those little boys, and don't work as hard as you've always been working, because sometimes, you know what, family comes first. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Have you been busy now?
Yeah, we're continually growing. You see some companies that, they go into multi-millions within 2 or 3 years. That's not been us. That's not been our experience. But we are continually growing, continually refining the processes. I'm a big procedure and process guy. Standard operating procedures. That's my favorite part of business. I don't care what business it is.
Yeah.
Automating as much as possible, needing you as little as possible as the owner.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. It's been hard. It's been fun, and everything in between.
Most good, profitable businesses don't need the owner to be there to run it. They need them to be there to coach it, but
Right.
they don't need them to be sitting in that seat in the office every single day. They could be somewhere else, off doing something else, or in a remote location, running the business or overseeing the business, and that's what makes a true successful HVAC business. I think that cash flow, a few other things, some good processes, a lot of other things that come into that business. So, but
Mike, I would even go further and say, if you want a successful business, not a job, but
not a job, a business.
I would go as far as say, if you want a successful HVAC company, you need to be outside of a van. You don't need, if you're running a van, you are literally stifling that company to how fast and how big it can grow.
Yeah. I tell that to a lot of guys. You need to get out of the truck and start working on it and not in it. And you watch how fast it will grow when you're not in it every single day. I mean, you can be in it working on it. Do you know what I mean? And probably the best thing to do is get them out of that truck and get them in a pickup truck and just get them moving around. Even if you're just moving around during the day, but if you're out selling and managing and watching and seeing what's going on, that's how that business will start to grow. Look, we might need you to do a service call every now and then, but not every day. That's not what you do every day. And most of these owners are in there, and then they realize 20 years later that, what have I got? I've really just got a job.
Right.
It's not worth it. And how can you sell that when you're the only guy that's doing the work? You know what value does that business have? It has none.
Yeah.
It can't run without you.
They can't let go of the control of it. And you have to be able, you have to get comfortable, which I am as guilty as the worst case scenario, of letting go and allowing your people to do their job and allowing them to make mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and move on. And whenever you get somebody like in your scenario that's 20 years in, they've worked their guts out in their company, not on their company. You see those companies, if you start looking at HVAC companies for sale across this country, those are the ones that their profit is really high. Their percentage is really high because they're bringing in 50% of the revenue, but it's not ran as a company. And those companies, it's a high profit, but the selling price is low. They can't sell them because investors aren't going to come in and do their job.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go because I know you got a lot to do. I want to thank you for joining, and we got what we got. We'll send it to you before we put anything out there. I promise. Okay. All right.
Perfect. Hey, good to see you, Mike.
Thanks, Benji. Good seeing you too. Sorry this all happened. I'm sorry.
No problem at all.
Okay.
I'm honored to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Have a great holiday season. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.